Hello, and welcome to this review of the Strongs of Shadowcrest, a historical romance book series by Alexa Aston. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations that you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. First up is The Duke's Unexpected Love. We start with a tragic prologue for James, who is a Duke's heir that gets abducted by sailors and forced onto a ship with limited memory of who he is. Many years later, we find that he's the captain of a ship for a prosperous shipping line and recently landed in England for his next assignment. A drunkard who turns out to be his childhood tutor recognizes him at a tavern and insists that he's a lord. James is pretty much shocked and surprised, but when he visits the Duke's household, he's instantly recognized as the missing son of the Duke. Meanwhile, Sophie, the owner of the shipping company, is recently widowed and considering propositioning James for an affair, not knowing his newfound status or identity. James has bigger ideas like marriage and is trying to keep it all secret because he wants Sophie to accept him as a man rather than a title. Add in the fact that James has a gaggle of sisters and cousins that are soon to debut, and we've got an interesting beginning to the series. The Perks of Loving a Viscount is book 2 of the series. Lady Philippa is James's sister who would rather wear breeches and gallivant around her country home than become the sparkling debutante next season. She's not interested in becoming a wife and mother and property of a man, so would like to retain her independence. Although when she meets the handsome Viscount next door, she's starting to question her path a little. Seth is the son of the fourth son of a Viscount and never expected to inherit anything. After spending most of his life at sea, he is shocked to find that he's suddenly the new Viscount after the death of his uncles and father. With no experience in being on land or the ways of polite society, he relies on his new neighbors for help, especially the help of Pippa to teach him how to ride a horse. As they spend more time together, Seth is sure that Pippa will make him an excellent wife, but he's super careful not to scare her off. Falling for the Marquess is book 3 of the series. We start with August's story as he's injured at war and then sent home, finding out that his father died and his brother is on his deathbed, leaving him the newly inherited Marquess. He's pretty frightened of his own physical scars and his new responsibilities, but makes his brother a deathbed promise to get married next season. Meanwhile, Georgina is getting ready to debut into society with her sister and 2 cousins and hoping to hold out for a love match like she's seen with her twin sister and older brother. She has a chance meeting with August in a bookstore and instantly feels a connection to him. She boldly introduces herself and invites him to tea with her family. She's even more happy to find out that he's their neighbor in town and that their 2 homes share a garden. He's hesitant at first, thinking that he looks like a monster, but she is charming and assertive. We find out that the Strongs are a supportive family and show their approval of August quite publicly. He just needs to get over his own insecurity. The Captain and the Duchess is book 4 of this series. Widowed Duchess Dinah is back out in the courting scene after the death of her husband, and she's uninterested in any of the suitors she's met this season. In the back of her mind, she is still thinking about her stepson's captain friend, Drake, who had flirted with her on their first meeting. Drake's back from his first journey as a ship captain, and his first stop is to call on Dinah to see if he can arrange a dalliance. Lucky for everyone involved, she's very interested. It's a quick connection for these two, both physically and emotionally, even with their different social stations. Courtship at Shadowcrest is book 5 of the series. This is a 2-for-1. It has 2 parts, telling us about 2 different romances that occur at the same house party. Allegra and Lyric are twin sisters and nieces and cousins to a duke, and the twins felt bad about their cousin paying for their society debut, so they agreed to a small house party in the country instead. Their aunt and dowager duchess, Dinah, has invited 5 eligible gentlemen and 3 other eligible young ladies for the party. We get to meet everyone through both parts of the story and see how everyone gets paired off. Allegra and Lyric both end up in parallel situations with rakish bachelors, but that resolves pretty quickly. Allegra is paired with Sterling, an earl who is unloved by his parents and spends his time in debauchery, and Lyric is paired off with Silas, a viscount who was unloved by his parents, but mentored by a beloved uncle and taking on his responsibilities. Neither men believe in love, so they respond poorly when their chosen ladies start declaring theirs, but I liked to see them get it together and win their ladies back. The Marquis's Quest for Love is book 6 of the series. Byron is the dutiful second son of a Marquis who is called back home from the army when his older brother dies in a carriage race, and now he's the new Marquis. He is all sorts of disappointed to learn what a terrible person his brother is and vows to do better, including marrying the neighbor girl that his brother was engaged to, even though she's terrible and he won't be happy. When he's visiting his aunt and uncle in the Lake District, he meets Morella, who is one of the strong sisters, and she turns his head a bit, but not enough for him to shirk his duties. She's equally enamored of him, but doesn't see him as marriage material because he keeps running hot and cold. They meet again a few months later in the London season, but he's still determined to marry the neighbor. I enjoyed seeing Byron learn to let go of his staunch feelings of duty and responsibility as he opens himself up to the possibility of love. The Duke's Guide to Winning a Lady is book 7 and the final book in the series. We start with a tragic prologue for Malcolm, where he loses his wife and child during childbirth, but he married a woman his mother picked out and didn't have a real relationship with her. He decides to do better the next time around. Fast forward a couple years, and we have the youngest strong sister, Effie, planning her debut into society at the same time as Malcolm's younger sister. Effie and Ada become fast friends at the Modiste and spend several weeks together before the season starts, most often chaperoned by Malcolm. He's totally impressed by Effie and intends to make her his duchess, but she has no idea about his feelings since he rarely speaks around her, and she sort of sees him as an older brother figure. He definitely has a lot of courting and wooing to do if he plans to convince Effie of his suit. The best part here is when Effie's brother and brothers-in-law team up to help Malcolm win Effie's affections. It was a lovely cap to the series, seeing all the family members so happily wed and supportive of each other. Overall, I love this series following the unconventional strong family. Everyone had the chance to marry for love, and their partners were all able to overcome their prior circumstances. I liked how tight knit and loving the family was, and how they all supported each other throughout the series. These were excellent historical romances. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found a book or two to add to your TBR. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.